Hello, hello, and welcome back. I've managed to do my first week in the army. Thank God for that, and it's over. All I want to say so far, as first impression, I guess, is that, oh God, I need to suck up to a lot of people. People say don't bend your knee, but bend your knee so hard that you're a kangaroo. Honestly, that's how you're supposed to do in the army. You're always in the wrong, the commander's always in the right. That's the end of it, and that's how I'm gonna do. I am being told what to do, so that's okay so far. So yeah, and that's it. I don't want to talk about the army anymore, and that's it. I survived my first week, and I'll leave it at that. Now to talk about something I do want to talk about, and that is, okay, last week, I talked about Final Fantasy 15. This week I'm gonna talk about another Square Enix games, and that is Kingdom Hearts. And recently I just beaten, 2 months ago I think it was, or a couple of weeks actually, I beat Kingdom Hearts 3. And yeah, I really like Kingdom Hearts now. Okay, a little history. When Kingdom Hearts 3 was first being released, I guess I could say the game seemed really interesting. Like the combat seemed fun, the combat seemed fun, and the world seems really cool. But the thing I knew right away was that if I want to play Kingdom Hearts 3, then it's better to play all the games before that, because if you know nothing about Kingdom Hearts, you will know one thing, and that is the story being absolute bonkers. And in my opinion, if you want to play Kingdom Hearts 3, you should play the other games in the series. It just makes Kingdom Hearts 3 much more enjoyable, much better in my opinion. Kingdom Hearts 3 is good on its own, don't get me wrong. But Kingdom Hearts as a whole is better experience from the start to the finish. So the first thing I did was buy the Kingdom Hearts Story So Far package. And honestly, that's a bloody steal. There's a lot of games in it, and it's only for $40 or €40 where I came from. And it's well worth the price, even though you don't like one of the games. It's worth it. Pardon me for a second. Just burp, that's not a good sign. And so I played my first Kingdom Hearts game, which is Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, and it took a while to get into. The thing is with Kingdom Hearts, the game was released when I was not even born, so it's hard getting into a game made 18 years ago, to say the least. I think I actually dropped the game when I was in Hollow Bastion. Weird name, but I'll get to it later. Hollow Bastion, I mean, and I didn't pick it up until this year, actually, the first month, where I actually beat the game. The reason I dropped it in the first time last year was because I had no idea what the hell I was doing. The game is very vague in this about the stuff, and it's I did not equip a single ability, I realized, because I was complaining that, I don't know how much HP a boss have, what the hell do I do, until I was in Hollow Bastion, and then I realized, I need to equip it, and it's weird, how did I not realize? It reminds me of Nier Automata, where I managed to beat the game without leveling up my weapons once, and it was insane. But once I realized what I was doing wrong in Kingdom Hearts, I restarted it, and did it right, as much as I can do, and I beat it, and I'm wow, for a first game it was really good. It's not the best, it aged really a lot to say the least, but it was still a fun game, not gonna lie. The story especially, I wasn't expecting the game to make me cry. I knew it was gonna make me cry at one point later on, but I never realized the first game. The minute Sora stabs himself with what keyblade was it, the one Riku was using? And then he stabbed himself to save Kairi and the other 7 princesses, I think. It's and there's a new rendition of Simple and Clean, actually, and it made me cry for some reason. It made me really like Sora as a character, as a whole. But anyway, let's start from the start, and that's with the story. And it's a lot, not gonna lie, but it's a joy to go through. I've never grew up with Disney, so every time I hear people talk about Disney magic, I'm I've never known what it is, and I probably will never experience what it is. But playing through Kingdom Hearts, I understand that feeling and actually get to feel it myself for the first time. When I mean I never grew up with Disney, I just mean it. I've never watched any of the movies. The only movies I have watched was Beauty and the Beast, and which one was the other one again? Which one? Let me think about this one. I want to say Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but the thing is, I've only watched clips of it, what was that other movie? I don't think it was even in the game. It was this weird Treasure Island, there you go, that's the one. And I don't think Kingdom Hearts ever featured that yet, so I don't have much experience of it. Like I mean it. Like if you show me Cinderella or Aurora, I will get their name confused so much. And I'm thinking of Belle for some reason from Beauty and the Beast, and that's the one I watched. And I was never even into Final Fantasy 15. I mean Final Fantasy. Like most of the Final Fantasy characters, I didn't even know who it was. The only one I didn't know was Aerith, and that was because she dies. But that's not the point here. So it was weird getting into because I'll never get some of the references for the most part because like I don't know which character is that. Is that an original character or a Disney character? I don't know, but you can usually tell which one was which. It's funny. But as a whole, it was such a fun experience. The thing that caught me right away was the gameplay, which it felt awkward, not gonna lie. And some level design was just, oh my god, like Jungle Island, whatever you call it, the Tarzan world, was such a pain in the ass to go through because for some reason I thought you need to go through the vines to progress. But that turns out not to be it. So like I just stand there half an hour wondering what the hell am I supposed to do until I went there. But like that whole island world was just a mess to go through in my opinion. And some worlds are like that, but for the most part they're pretty okay. They're not the best because it's it aged badly in my opinion, but that doesn't make it bad. It has a sort of charm to it, and it's like it was still enjoyable. While the combat felt weird, it was still fun in a sort of way. But like swimming controls and flying control were a pain in the ass in that Ursula fight. The two of them are literally the worst part of the game in my opinion because like it's so needlessly hard for some reason, and like the game likes to hold information from you until you realize, oh wait, I'm supposed to do potions, throw fire at the cauldron in Ursula. It's like I never got that until I watched a walkthrough just to get through. But like if I replay the game now and I'm proud mode, I'll think I have a much better time with it. Another thing that caught my attention was definitely the music. This was my second time exposed to Yoko Shimomura. And I knew right away that the music would not blow me away like Final Fantasy 15 because like 16 years apart I think, or was Final Fantasy 15 released in 2017? I don't know, and that's not the point. So I knew the music would not blow me away, but it certainly surprised me in a lot of them. Monstro, like A Small Wish are pretty good song, even though they're really short. Like my issue with the soundtrack as a whole is like, even though it's good, it loops a lot. Like I love Traverse Town theme, but I'll always go to the Dream Drop Distance version of the song because it's just much longer and doesn't loop as fast. And it's like, it was only one composer, so it was hard to get used to because like, it was only one person. Later on in the series, they did brought out two others, which makes it so much better. But I get to that when I talk about those games. And as a whole, the music, while good, it was repetitive real fast. But the main theme song, I guess the opening theme, like the one by what's her name? Give me a sec so I can pronounce it right. Yutada Hikaru, and Hikari I think it's called in Japanese, while the English version called Simple and Clean. When I first heard it, my first mind was like, wow, that's just a 2002 techno song. It's like, it's not a bad thing, it's a really good thing, but the original version, really good song, not gonna lie. And the different rendition of the song, like the aforementioned, the Hikari Kingdom Hearts Orchestration, I think the official title is, like a short version of it, like instrumental, really good, and it made me cry. And the way the ending theme of the song Simple and Clean, where Kairi and Sora hold hands, but then it slips through and then the song just blasts your ear, suddenly made me cry a river. I don't know, okay, not a river, just suddenly made me bawl my eyes out for some reason. I don't know why, it just happens. Like, I cried 2 times. Yes, I do keep track of how many times I cry in a game. And I cried 2 times. One on that scene and the one where Sora stabs himself to save Kairi. That was such a good scene, but they also come unexpectedly, especially with the music. That just makes me cry. Not gonna lie. And another thing I absolutely love about the game was the characters. Like, I love the story, and that's for all the games. It might get, I wouldn't even say it gets messy. Like, I think people give Tetsuya Nomura a lot of crap, but in my opinion, he can write a really good story, even if it's low sometimes. They're just entertaining, to say the least, and I enjoy them. Like the first game especially. Like Kairi, Sora, and Riku. Okay, Riku, he takes a while for me to like. It took until Dream Drop Distance for me to actually really like his character. Like in the first game, he was a dick and he kind of redeems himself towards the end, but not really. Second game, in Chain of Memory, he does a lot, but so he never gets like okay with Sora. And even in the second game, it's like and in the other games, it would took until Dream Drop Distance. I'll tell you that much. But Sora and Kairi, they were really fun characters. And another like Sora, when I first saw him, I'm really skeptical about this. But when you first visit Hollow Bastion, I started liking him, and then towards the end, I absolutely love him. He's such a good character, and Kairi is like, for my shock, I was expecting her just to appear at the end and the ending scenes, and that's it. But no, you actually do get to save her, and then she goes stays in Traverse Town, and I'm like, that was so cool. She becomes an NPC you can talk to. That was just really cute, and that Oath Keeper cutscene, adorable. And the Disney characters, Donald and Goofy, are genuine good characters, and it bugs the hell out of me. Like, how do you make them into interesting and memorable characters? Especially Donald, even though they're kind of dicks to Sora when he loses the Keyblade, but then later on they kind of redeem themselves. Like, especially Goofy. And I just got interrupted again. Nice. I wonder if it picked it up at all. Anyway, I keep going, and it's like, okay, and like they become good characters. King Mickey, or Mickey Mouse, I guess I should call him, is like, okay. In the first game, he doesn't get a lot of screen time. He only appears towards the end of it because of Disney's weird contract with Square Enix. Oh god damn it. But later on, he becomes a better character. Let me just. Okay, I'm professional. And it's like, and the Final Fantasy characters, well, I think there's only like 5 of them, like Sephiroth, Cloud, Aerith, Leon, and Yuffie, I forget. They're actually pretty cool, interesting characters, even with a short time. But the main antagonist, Ansem, Seeker the Darkness, it's like, well, why is the main villain such a fucking hot ass? That was the only thing going through my mind, and the fact in the final form with the dick. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna avoid that one. Especially that final form with this weird dick ship thing, and him just on top of it, bare chested and everything. I'm like, how am I supposed to talk that fine piece of ass? And then when he says submit, it's like, yeah. But like that final boss, like not really fun to go through, was kind of annoying because flying just sucks. I don't like it. It's a weird way. Later on, the games do a better job of it, but not in the first game. It's not like as though the game doesn't have really good fights. Like the Riku Ansem fight during your first visit to Hollow Bastion, really good fight actually. Even though I didn't, and did I? Actually, I did. I managed to beat him on my first try, which surprises me the most. He was a genuinely good fight. Not the first fight, the second fight, where you find that Ansem is in it. In him. That sounds wrong. But as a whole, I was surprised how well Kingdom Hearts 1 stands. Like, sure, it aged in a lot of areas graphic-wise. While it was good, the colors just felt a little bit dead. It still managed to hell up on its own quite well. I do want to talk more to it, but I still want to talk about the other game. The second game being Chain of Memories. And okay, I'll lie, I didn't manage to beat all the Kingdom Hearts game. I initially left Chain of Memory behind, and I still haven't beaten it yet at the moment. I just don't have the time for it. And it's not as though the game is bad, far from it. It's like, compared to the first game, compared to the second, to this game, it's very different to the point where it's like, I don't want to, like, I'm not a big fan of card system in video game because, like, the AI always know what it has on deck, while the character, okay, for me at least, I'm quite slow on it, so I don't realize what cards I have me at the moment, so I need time to do it, but the enemy always know how to react, so I initially skipped it, but I made sure to watch all the cutscenes. Story-wise, I liked it, again, not as much as Kingdom Hearts 1, but I still thought the characters were really good, like, did they call them the Organization 13 yet? I don't know, well, most of the Organization members are shown, they were really good. My favorite being Larxene, obviously. She's just a cold-head, hard-ass bitch. And I like how genuinely scary she can be at times. That scene with her and Replica Riku was absolute terrifying. And later on, Replica Riku. It makes sense, trust me. Completely forgets about her abusing him was honestly disturbing. Naminé, the character introduced here. Good character, I like her. I like in the end where she asks Sora if he wants to continue with his false memory or getting his old one, whilst if he wants his old ones back, and while Sora chooses his old memory, you can tell how hurt she is, but she can't do nothing about it because it's Sora's choice. It was her fault that everything happened sort of way, and you can tell she's hurt by it, but she still does it because she wants to repay Sora. That was just really cool story moment. Another character I was surprised that I liked was Marluxia. He's like, I like his design, I like his hair. He's not my favorite organization member. That's Vexen for some reason. Maybe it's the hair, maybe it's the attitude or that voice. I just love him. And Axel, he's good, but he gets better later on, to say the least. As a whole, reaching a man while gameplay being weird, the story still was pretty good, while... yeah, it was okay. Not the best, in my opinion. If I have to choose gameplay-wise, reaching a man would probably be like the third lowest. Not bad by any means, but just like, not fun to do. The third, is there anything else? Oh yeah, the music, Lord of the Castle, phenomenal track, absolutely love it. And okay, no, and the next game is not Kingdom Hearts 2. I'm going through the collection at the moment, and that is the cutscene version at 358 over 2 days. 358, I don't know how to speak English numbers actually. That game, and in the collection it's only in cutscene, which I think is for the better. Like, Kingdom Hearts 3582 gameplay on the DS is not bad, but it's very repetitive, I heard. So making it into a cutscene based story was a pretty good idea in my opinion. So I didn't know what to expect of it. I actually watched it after playing through Kingdom Hearts 2, which I think is for the better, but I don't think it really matters if after you play Reaching the Memories or watch the cutscene, you play that or the other or that or the other. It doesn't really matter. But I did watch the third, but I'm going through the collection. Story-wise, it was surprisingly solid, and it's generally one of my second best in the series in my opinion. Xion as a character, I was surprised how strong she is, like as a character as a whole. Before going into that, the music, there's only 3 tracks that stand into my head at the moment, and that being At Dusk, I'm Thinking of You. Okay, let me see if I can butcher the French language. I butchered it before, but let's see if I can do it again. The track called Musique pour la Tristesse de Xion. I know, I butcher it, you don't have to say it to me. And Vectors to the Heaven, absolute phenomenal songs. One of my favorite in the series. They're just so good, and that's all I have to say about it. They're good, they're sad, they make me cry. Anyway, story-wise, seeing Roxas and Axel and Xion's relationship, really nice, but really absolutely heartbreaking when you think of it, especially after going through Kingdom Hearts 2 once more. Which I haven't, I want to, but no time, you know why. But going to the cutscene, I did cry toward the end. It was just too much. And Xion as a character, she was good. I was surprised. She's given a choice. No matter what she chooses, it's just gonna suck for everyone. So she chooses the hardest one, even though she doesn't want to. And she goes through with it with a lot of hesitation. And then she chooses to do it in the end. And it's heartbreaking and it's sad. And one little fact I like about the game is which is why I like to give it to Tetsuya Nomura credit for his storytelling, is that their memory of Xion does certainly disappear. Their emotions don't, and that's something which is pretty much true. When you forget something, it doesn't mean you don't feel it. Like, I love video games, but that doesn't mean I have memories of me why I like it. My emotion told me I liked it, and that's what I like how the game shows. Even in Kingdom Hearts 2, while Xion isn't necessarily there, her action still tells the story pretty well, and you can tell her action really affected Roxas especially, and Axel. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Well, and then that leads to Kingdom Hearts 2, and right away you can hear the motorcycle in the background. Apologies. Kingdom Hearts 2, it's so much better than Kingdom Hearts 1 in so many aspects, no doubt about it, but there was just something about it that just felt weird for me. It might be because the game is all like Kingdom Hearts 1, but I don't know why. while everything about the game certainly improved, combat-wise, graphic-wise, music-wise, everything just improves upon. It's the logical step forward, and that's pretty cool. First off, the music, all the themes are phenomenal, but I do feel like as though it suffers what Kingdom Hearts 1 suffers. Like, there's only one composer, and it's like, it gets, I don't want to say repetitive, it just gets samey, generic after a while. The new theme, again by Utada Hikaru, Passion in the Japanese version and Sanctuary in the English version, amazing tracks, but I do prefer the opening version compared to the ending version a lot. Still phenomenal soundtrack, phenomenal theme song. As a whole, the soundtrack is definitely better. Lazy Afternoons was such a nice way to start off the game. Starting as Roxas was certainly weird, seeing all his memory being shown, like understanding. I don't know how to say it right. It's like, you can tell something is wrong, and it's like, and going towards the end of the 7 days is like, absolutely heartbreaking. It makes me feel really bad about Roxas. And it's like, even after you're done with the Roxas part and you leave as Sora during the train, where Sora starts shedding when the gang shows the crystal balls, I should say. And Sora starts crying. It's like, oh, yeah, there goes my tears as well. It sucks. Picking up Twilight Town, phenomenal music. I mentioned that before, didn't I? I'm a mess, but slightly better than the first one. Elect, Hainer, and Pence. They had short screen time, but they were definitely memorable characters. I don't know why, I like their design. All of them are cute, and I like their design. But then thinking about it, like Roxas being inside the virtual world and not the real Twilight Town, that if I think about it, it gives me a headache, so I don't like to think about it. The story makes sense, no doubt about it, but if I think about it, it gives me a headache. Anyway, but actually going to the Disney parts, it was okay, I liked it. For the most part, it was better, while the world seemed really open. It's like, I wish there was a faster way you can traverse the world, because it feels really sluggish in the beginning. I know when you level up your drive form, you get better movement, but during my first playthrough, I didn't know that. I got most of the games blind, not a lot of information given to me, which kind of hurts in the long run. If I think about it, it's like a Dark Souls game. You probably should know a lot beforehand, gameplay-wise, not story-wise, to get the full enjoyment out of it. While Kingdom Hearts does slightly better at it, but like, still. And Disney World wise, they were all pretty good. My least favorite one was definitely Pride Lands. Playing as Sora as a lion, while a cute idea, it just felt really fast and slippery in my opinion. But my biggest shock of all was like, after being done with the first part of the game with Roxas and playing as Sora for the first time and going out in the worlds, the fact that the first world you visit to is Hollow Bastion honestly surprised me. Okay, Hollow Bastion name weirds me out, because when I look at the title, I keep thinking of Hollow Bastion, but I guess that's wrong. I don't know why. But the fact that it's the second world you visit honestly surprised me the most for some reason. Like, really? The second world? Are you for real? And turns out it is. But seeing the returning characters again was certainly really cute, especially with their new design. It was just, oh, that's so cool. And that's when you get to hear the first theme, Organization 13. It's a really good song, and like, it captures them perfectly, to say the least. But it was during, was it Twilight Town or Hollow Bastion? I keep forgetting, when you get your first Ansem secret notes. Like in the first game, when you get them through specific bosses and cups, I think there were. I keep forgetting, but I managed to get all of them, and I read them, and I really liked them, and it explained a lot about Ansem as a character. But when I first read the first game's secret note, it honestly was one of the few moments in the series that made me go, oh god, that's just really weird storytelling. I don't want to say bad, but it's like, I'm pretty sure it's bad. And that is when Ansem writes about like, oh, my helpers, not acquaintance, researcher. How do you call people that help you at work? I don't know, I forget. The fact that he mentioned that his lab partners, oh god, I don't know, his researchers, his students, I don't know. I don't know how to say it. Took up his name to write the reports definitely made me sigh so hard that I put my controller down. It was like, it's dumb. That means the first set of secret notes were done by Ansem Seeker of Darkness and not the real Ansem, which means that Ansem we knew it's not real, and that made me mad. And it's like, I can't wait to see how this goes. But then later on, I was like, oh, it's actually this who's Ansem. At first, I was surprised because I thought, oh, this is a pun on Disney or something. But no, it turns out to be like Darkness in Zero or something, which is weird. I'm going all over with music and story, but like for the most part, it's pretty solid. And it continues with in the first game. The Gummy section, I actually forgot to mention. In the first game, I didn't thought it was as bad as people make it out to be. It's not the best thing out there, but I actually had a weird enjoyment to them. I don't know why I say this, and I actually kind of hate myself for saying this, but I actually prefer the first game Gummy mission to the second game. In the second game, you feel like you were just standing and floating in air and everything goes around you. I don't know why it feels like that. And it's certainly dumb, not gonna lie. But as a whole, Kingdom Hearts 2 was just a much better experience. Music-wise, a track that got me the most was The Home of Dragons, and it made me realize that most of the games got re-releases for the PS3 and later on the PS4. When they re-released it on the PS3, they actually re-orchestrated the soundtrack, and I'm like, okay, it wouldn't make that big of a difference, but The Home to the Dragons just show how much of a different orchestration can do to a music. Like, I hear the original PS2 version and then I hear the orchestrated one. It's like, whoa, massive difference, massive difference. And it's like, yeah, kind of worth it. Another part I really liked about the game was Atlantica. Like I said, I never grew up with Disney, so I never experienced Disney musicals. So going through Atlantica for the first time was oddly amusing and funny to me. It was my first jokes. I'm not even joking on this. It was the first time I ever heard Under the Sea. I only heard parodies, short versions of it. Never heard the full quote-unquote version of it until this game. And I heard it. It's like, yo, this is a good track. Even though the overall theme in the first Atlantica was Under the Sea, actually, I think. It was like, I actually enjoyed it. And one thing I didn't like about the story was definitely the way Naminé and Rox's characters, like the ending for me, while being good, like fighting Zebness was really fun. But even though the song, but first of all, the song Darkness Darkness of the Unknown is a phenomenal track. I love it. The fight itself was really like, yo, you've never played Riku before, but you're gonna play him as the first time hero, where Sora's about to die. That was just annoying because you never played as Riku before, and it's just annoying, and I died to it because I didn't understand what the hell am I supposed to do. That happened multiple times. It's like weird flight section. It was weird. It wasn't bad, but it's like I think they could have handled better. Like give you experience beforehand and after doing that. But the story-wise also felt me a little shallow in a sort of sense. I don't know why. But like Roxas and Naminé's character, going back to that, it's like it ended weirdly for me. It's like Roxas, I feel like not deserve more. Should have something more. It's like kind of annoying how in the end he's accepts himself as another part of Sora, like Persona 4 style. Even though I think Kingdom Hearts 2 came before that. Actually, I'm not sure. Where in Persona 4, like, I accept you as myself and they could come together or something. It's like, that's what it felt like, but it felt pretty shallow because Roxas and Naminé felt like completely different characters. The whole thing where nobodies cannot have hearts seems pretty dumb in my opinion, have no emotion. Because the thing is, it's just human nature. When we don't have emotions, we're simply dead or brain dead. Because like our emotion drives us. Even though Dream Drop just fixes that, in the second game they do not mention it, and that's why I think it's just a really, really dumb thing. So that ending felt really shallow for me because like Roxas was shown being more than just an empty character. His fight in the beginning of The World That Never was one of my favorite fights in the game, and I think it's one of the best fights. The theme, the other promise was absolutely phenomenal. I say phenomenal a lot because it's true. It made me cry, but it made me feel like I want to fight. And then in the cutscene wise, apparently in the game, the original version, it was only a cutscene. It was like those kids back then got robbed, but in the final mix version, it was a full-fledged fight, and it was absolute fun. And you can, in the cutscenes after the fight, you can feel Rox's frustration towards Zora. Like, how can Zora be full but not him? It's just unfair. It was just sad. Most of the Organization 13 felt really short-handed in my opinion in the second game. Demix, I really wanted to see more of, but like, he dies in the second visit in Hollow Bastion. It's like, really? That was it for him? Nothing more? And other than Xemnas and Roxas, oh yeah, Axel as well, he was a pretty good character. I played through Kingdom Hearts 2 before 358/2, but you can tell through the dialogue and acting that Axel and Roxas had a past relationship together, pretty well made, and it's absolutely phenomenal. When Axel screams for the first time, "I'm so flattered," was honestly heart-wrenching. It made me really like it. The theme called the 18. No, let me just. I want it to be right. Can I not be right? The 13th Struggle really just fits in. One of my favorite battle themes of the series. It made fights. Okay, most of the fights, other than Roxas and mainly Axel's, they're not really good in my opinion. There were some good ones and some of them felt weird. I didn't get the chance to do the 13 beta fights yet because you needed to level up all your drive forms, which I did not do. And I'm planning on doing that on my second playthrough when I do Proud Mode, which is hopefully easier, I heard. So I can't say much about that aspect. But as a whole, while a massive improvement, I felt like the story, especially the ending, just felt shallow. Especially when Riku and Sora managed to get into the realm of darkness. And it's like, okay, how did they get out? Oh, Sora managed to get this bottle with Kairi's note. That opens the door. What? It's just weird, and it's like, it felt shallow for me. And like Naminé and Rox's character made me feel shallow. Not bad, not disappointed, just shallow. I still loved it, not gonna lie. The other game, no way, I need to, is there anything else I want to talk about? There is a lot I want to talk about, but the thing is, I'm doing this live with no script, so I really can't put a lot of things I want to say into it, and I do want to talk about all the games so far, so I guess I'll leave it at that until another year where I finally have time to write. So the next game is Birth by Sleep, and that was the game that clicked on me, that made me absolutely love Kingdom Hearts. So I should start from the start. You get to play as 3 characters, Ventus, Terra, Ventus, and Aqua. So that means you have to play the game through 3 times, and the thing is, I played through all the game the minute the coronavirus hit. So I had all the time to do all the games, which I ended up doing. Not reaching and Mary being the exception. So I managed to, like, for Birth by Sleep, also I had like the online lessons, like, that did not stop me, but still. And I managed to beat each character's story in one day, and that was like insane for me, because each Disney World takes about half to 1 hour to complete. So I managed to beat the entire game. My only complaint with the game is definitely some bosses just feel bad, like Ericus as a fight was really bad because the only way I managed to beat him was because I managed to level up a lot to the point where he doesn't one-shot me or one-kills me, but it was also the first game I played on Proud Mode because I wanted to get that secret ending. I'll get to that later. But other than that, I do think Birth by Sleep was a really fun game, especially the combat as a whole. I just thought it was really fun. The command deck, I thought it was a pretty cool feature. I liked it. My only issue is that goes for any game being ported to the PS4. You can tell that it's made for different hardware and all that stuff, so I really can't fault the game. Whoa, gonna hold that off for a sec. Whoops. Apologies for that, that was a fun callback to Birth by Sleep. And like, combat-wise, I thought it was really fun. Now, story-wise is the reason I absolutely loved the game. The first character I played was through the recommended order being Terra, and out of all the 3 characters, I actually thought Terra was the most fun. When it comes to RPGs, I really like going to the glass cannon build. I just love hitting heavy, but making sure not to take any damage myself. So I really enjoyed Terra's part of the game, not gonna lie. Ventus was okay, he was the middle of the road of the 2, and Aqua was just full of magic, and it was okay, I like magic. And another thing that stand out to me was the music, but I'll get to that when I talk about the ending. That secret ending in Kingdom Hearts 2 where they show these 3 characters before it being officially shown, I think I would say, it left a lot to my imagination, like who was this old man, who are these 3 trios, who is the other masked boy. It was like, it really made me want to play Birth by Sleep right away, which I did, and yeah, I was genuinely surprised, especially with the story. A little fact I like about each of the ending, or most of their ending character story, I'm butchering it, I know, is that the track, what's it called again? Beyond the Door. It plays on each character's ending part of the story, and it really made the moment much more intense and much more heartbreaking. None of the characters have a happy ending, which just made it even worse. Terra loses his body, but even though he fight back to it, he still lost it. And you see the lingering whale armor standing there, being washed away by the wind. Then you have in Kingdom Hearts close by yourself with the song in the background. Absolutely heartbreaking. In Ventus, when you defeat Vanitas, and he's tried to get the keyblade with the X, mind you, but he can't reach it for some reason. It's like, fit the moment perfectly. And then Aqua says when she sacrifices herself for Terra, even though she doesn't know what's gonna happen to him. Heartbreaking. And another thing, thinking of the soundtrack, it was also the game that features 2 other composers. And in my opinion, it just made the soundtrack so much better than the past 2. I'll say it right here, right now. I do think Birth by Sleep has one of the best soundtracks in the series. I know I'm gonna have a lot of people saying I'm wrong by it, but like, I don't care. The other composer being Takeru Ishimoto, and the other one being, let me get his name right because I'm bad with name, Tsuyoshi Sekito. There you go, I said it right. They are really different compared to Yoko Shimomura's previous work, and it blends well together, so none of them sound the same. They're all unique, they bring their own to the table, which I appreciate a lot. Especially Vanitas' battle theme. His fight sucks massively, but the music just made it real worth it. Unbreakable Chain, cry! And as a whole, I thought the soundtrack was so good. Some story moments that really got to me with each of the characters ending, especially Aqua says, when you first defeat Break, or Zigbar, I guess you can call him at the moment, is like, what's going on? And then like the keyblade breaks. I know a lot of people say they don't like the keyblade's design, they think they look dumb, but in my opinion, I think it looks cool, it looks lit, man. But like, as I mentioned before, each character ending ends tragically, especially for Aqua. Ventus is sleeping in Castle Oblivion because the land of the departure is actually Castle Oblivion. How does that work? I don't know, but it was a surprising shock, even though I did heard it beforehand. And Terra ends with Xehanort taking over his body. And it's just like, wow, and Aqua is stuck in the realm of darkness, which is sad, which sucks. It's like each character just gets a story that's just, it's sad. It ends bittersweet, especially towards Aqua. But that ending part during the secret blank point, I think it's called, where they show Aqua sitting in the beach with Ansem the Wise. That was a pretty cool scene where they showed different characters calling out the name Sora. That was just cool, and it shows how Sora was not supposed to be the main character, like the main hero of all this, but he ended up being one and responsible for saving everyone, which proves in Kingdom Hearts 3, but I'll get to it later. And it was just really cool, especially the music. Another track I like, Dismiss, the one you fight with Terra Xehanort. cool fight, and I think it was one of the best final boss scenes. Not saying much because it is Birth by Sleep, but it was definitely worth it, and I loved it. The next game in this series, chronologically, is the recorded cutscene. I'll say it now, I do not like it. The story was like 3 hours long and it amounted to nothing. But for some reason, Recorded has one of the best rendition of Dearly Beloved, and it bugs me out. Why is it such a good rendition, save for that game? I don't understand. So I'll leave it at that. The next game is Dream Drop Distance, and I initially skipped Dream Drop Distance because after I was done by Birth by Sleep, I was like, oh my god, I need to know what happened to Aqua. I want to know what happened. And the second collection, Kingdom Hearts Final Chapter, 2-8 Pink Final Chapter, whatever, prologue, whatever you call it, I don't care if it's not wrong, features a fragmentary passage which is like a continuations of Birth by Sleep's ending to Aqua. And I just really wanted to see what happens, and I played it, and I thought it was really freaking good. Story-wise, it was dumb, like, okay, Mickey Mouse lost his shirt, but then it sort of recounts with Aqua knowing Sora's name. Kind of dumb. But other than that, being the sort of first chapter of Kingdom Hearts 3, I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, especially the music. It was just fun, but it was absolutely heartbreaking seeing Aqua fall into darkness. Her fighting her phantom and having like this phantom, having all this dilemma towards her was absolutely heartbreaking, which reminds me of a scene in the Birth by Sleep secret ending, which I completely forgot about, was where Aqua sees Cinderella's castle, I think it's supposed to be, in the distance, and then she asks, what could it mean or something, and then you have the study blowing in your ears. It was cool. And then you get like volume 2 of Birth by Sleep. I don't know what it means, I still don't know what it means, but like, it was cool, it made me excited. So I initially skipped Dream Drop Distance, but after I beat Kingdom Hearts 3, I went back to it, and I was surprised how well it held. And now that, by the way, music phenomenal, loved it. Well, now my favorite, the World Ends With You remixes were absolutely bangers, not gonna lie. As a whole, the music was good. Story-wise, I don't think it was as bad as people make it out to be. Like, sure, time traveling is a weird concept, but I think Tetsuya Nomura did a pretty good job handling it. It wasn't dumb, nor really hard to understand, so I was okay with it for the most part, and I enjoyed it. The Disney World were fun, and I love how they took the more niche sort of side of it, like the Musketeer ones. Like, I'm pretty sure that was a straight to DVD Disney movie, so I was surprised there. Another thing I really liked about the game was the Dream Eaters, really. I thought they were disgustingly cute, and I'll leave it at that. The Disney characters were also good. The World Ends With You characters, they were pretty good. The one that surprised me, the fact that surprised me is the most, I actually managed to get the original voice cast, which is pretty fucking good. As a whole, Dream Drop Distance, I think it was one of the better games, not gonna lie. Anyway, intermission time, yay! Okay, so like the best thing about pre-recording this podcast is the fact that I can cut and then come back in 2 hours later when something happens. Pretty good. Anyway, to finish off with Dream Drop Distance, I liked it. I don't think it was as bad as people said too. It's not like gameplay was bad or anything, it's just like the story could have been confusing, because the next game after that was Kingdom Hearts 3. Well, no, technically it was Fragmentary Passage, but at the point. Anyway, Dream Drop Distance, good. I liked it. The only thing I was complaining about, I thought if I have a complaint for it, was definitely the world feeling really big and vague. But the thing is, the mechanics of the game, I completely forgot what you call, is like they were designed with that in mind. So it isn't like Kingdom Hearts 2 where like there's no way to really traverse it without feeling a drag, but in Dream Drop Distance they sort of fixed it out. They compensated, to say the least, and it works. Anyway, that's it for Dream Drop Distance. The last two things I'm gonna mention before Kingdom Hearts 3 is definitely the mobile game, which is, I love the story, surprisingly really good for a mobile game, and especially how important it is to the main game. It's dumb. And also the implication that the Great Keyblade War was done by children is kind of okay. And the other one is that Blank Point movie, I don't know, Blank Point? Black Cover, something, the movie that came with the second set of collection for the PS2. It didn't amount a lot for Kingdom Hearts 3, only like a couple of few points, but I'm pretty sure in later games it's gonna be important, so that's what I think is gonna happen. But all that aside, the main big game, Kingdom Hearts 3, which I played this year. I played all the games this year, but still. And Kingdom Hearts 3 was better than Persona 5. Definitely, a lot of it. I absolutely love Kingdom Hearts 3. It's definitely one of my favorite games of this year, even though it came out last year. Everything about it, the gameplay, the music, the characters, the graphics, everything was just phenomenal. And like, I've been saying phenomenal a lot, but it's true. There's nothing much I could say about it. Well, I do want to go more in depth to it. I'm just gonna mention this biggest story part of it because it's already getting along almost an hour now, 44 minutes so far. One aspect I absolutely love how everyone ends nicely. I could say, except for Sora, he pretty much dies, but who cares? Which it brings me a dilemma, like, oh, so it makes their sacrifice not worth it. Like, Shion's back, Roxas is back, Terra's back, everyone's okay. Not really, people, they still suffer technically. Like, Aqua still suffers from PTSD from the realm of darkness. Also, Anti-Aqua, oh my god, what a mix of emotion that was. That was like heartbreaking and venerable. And the fact that Anti-Aqua snaps back at Mickey, literally telling her that they abandoned her, was like, it's true. It's like Mickey Mouse being owned by Agway was amazing. But it's also a fresh breath there because another thing I liked about the story is like they show characters grieving and crying. It's amazing. So many other media, either be a video game, anime, movies or something, will always have the cliche. Someone's crying, someone comes over saying you shouldn't cry, crying is for the weak, or keep your tears in, love is not worth it. But in this game they show them crying, expressing emotion, showing that grieving is good, showing crying is good. It's nothing. It's like it's so refreshing to see because like in Persona 3 where skip 10 seconds when Shinjiro died, Akihiko tries mourning for him for like only 5 seconds and then he stands up saying there's no use in crying, but like no, fucking cry, grieve, it's okay, you shouldn't keep it in. So in Kingdom Hearts 3 where everyone is shown crying, all that stuff, it's like it's such a fresh breath here. It's like showing emotion, expressing sadness like that. It's like it's good. It's like everyone got their closure and I love it. Even though it ended like a little bit too happy cliche. Cliches aren't necessarily a bad thing, no doubt about it. Like so seeing it in Kingdom Hearts 3 just makes it's so nice. The music was phenomenal. The fact that the cutscene music were put emphasis are really good. And I'm really excited that the soundtrack is finally being released this year towards fall. I definitely want to purchase it myself, definitely. Especially so I can actually tell which track is composed and what's the official track name because I don't want to use the internet ones. So I'm gonna save the music for another time. It's like, and another story point I love was the ending with Ericus. Like seeing the Wayfinder trio finally grieving for Ericus was so heartbreaking. Everything about the ending, like all of it was heartbreaking. Seeing Shion getting a breakdown because she finally gets her memories back, heartbreaking. Rox is coming back, heartbreaking. Everyone cried, heartbreaking, and like it's good. Another cutscene I really like was Terra Xehanort still manipulating the chain, and then the guardian behind him swoops in and save Ventus and Aqua. That was just cool, and the music was phenomenal. Like every track in this game, every world has a great track. I've never mentioned the Disney World a lot because there's a lot of them and I can't go through all of them one by one, but for Kingdom Hearts 3, the one that surprises me most was Frozen. I've never watched Frozen, so going through Frozen for the first time was really weird and kind of funny. The fact that they recreated Let It Go makes me laugh because I can just imagine the board meeting where they're like, okay, you can have Let It Go in your game, but make sure the main character says wow 2 times in the same sentence. And that's how I imagine it got into the game. But the music was great and the level design was pretty cool. Yeah, you run up the mountain a couple of 3 times, but it felt fun and unique, especially Sora's movement. It was just so good. And okay, I will go to the last thing I want to mention is Sora's and Kairi's relationship. And in my opinion, as a gay man, there's only 2 video game shipping that I support that are straight. The first one being Zack and Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. I've never played Final Fantasy VII. I never played Crisis Core. Yet I know what happens to them and it's absolutely heartbreaking. And I ship them. And the second one is Sora and Kairi. Riku, I've never seen work with Sora because he never talks to Sora. He never apologizes, I think, to Sora. I think he does, but I don't think it was in the first game, and it's like weird. But with Kairi and Sora, I can see it. They genuinely love each other thanks to their action. Like, Sora saves her in the first game, and Kairi returns the feeling as well. Kingdom Hearts 2 kind of doesn't do that much with Kairi and Sora. It's like, oh hey, they finally made each other. Not that big of a deal. Sora and Riku meeting for the first time, oh, crying. That was something. And Dream Drop Distance, nothing. Birth by Sleep prequel. In Kingdom Hearts 3, yeah, Kairi was kind of butchered, not gonna lie. She could have done so much more, but she didn't, so that sucks. But Remind really fixes it. Also, Remind was an amazing DLC, made me cry even more. And it's amazing. Playing as her as well was awesome. And the final boss theme, I wish I know what to call, I wish I know who composed it, was pretty good. Even though people think it was bad, I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't get it. Anyway, there's a lot more I want to say about Kingdom Hearts as a whole, but I'm gonna leave it another time. All I'm gonna say is I think Tetsuya Nomura gets a lot of shit for his storytelling, but I think he's actually pretty good, not gonna lie. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope I can see you again next week. This was kind of like a mess, but not as much as other time.